Iron Shelled, TP to a lane, and suddenly he's on the enemy Storm with a DK. There's kill potential there immediately.
Also, just maybe punishing the Storm Spirit prior to him hitting level 6, right? Like, I was totally fine with the tiny position 4, and maybe going for some other answer to the CK, but they're just saying, you know what, Hara, he's going to have the potential to, like you said, maybe level 3, get the Ion Shell put onto him, quickly make a rotation towards the mid lane, land a rolling boulder onto the Storm Spirit, kick him back towards the DK, minus armor, into the Dragon Tail, Storm's dead, right? And I think this is one of those games where Underdog really need to be able to play around the power runes as well for their Storm. You know, DK makes a little bit of use out of it, but Storm needs it for just a key part of his kit. Veno, not exactly the best hero to be able to back him up in that regard. Like I mentioned before, mobility, not one of his strengths. Willow, a little bit more so, and you're going to have the potential to just leave the CK a little bit more confidently, but it's not exactly like you're the fastest mover either.
Oh yeah, we've got on the tiny, don't we? What M heroes do we have? They should pick
Morphling?
heroes that begin with M. Yeah, Morphling. I don't like Morphling though; it's a garbage hero. It's something.
Mount Lord Devourer.
Magnus. We need Magnus to come in. And play some
We'll go to my hero page and pressing M. Oh, there's a lot actually. Mirana, Marcy, Monkey King, Meepo, Medusa, Mars, and Muerta.
Okay. Yeah, let's pick some of these, not tiny.
Tiny?
Tiny. Down bottom. A little bit of blocking. CK does hold the wave out of tower range, though, ever so barely.
Nicely done by Chi.
See across all 3 lanes at the same time. Storm against the DK in the mid lane. And that Dragon Knight used to be pretty favored in this one, but with that, what is it, static slide?
Yep.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, the Remnant moving around, causing a few issues, does give Storm a nicer time.
I mean, you don't need to use as much on regen, right? Like, you're just not going to be taking damage. It's just so easy to be able to secure a lot of these last hits for yourself without putting yourself in any kind of danger. Still will cop a few right clicks, and of course, the Worm's Wrath makes it even more punishing, I suppose. Storm's got a decent amount of armor, though. Ooh, yeah, Hara. Let's be a little bit careful here. This is what I was saying, right? Like, you've got so much damage going one way, but also, if Veno gets put out of position, he could die too. Oh, hold on. They're actually going to be able to get this kill onto the Darkseer?
He's got a Fairy Fire, but I don't think he's going to be able to slip away from this. Tries to Iron Shell, the kick across with a Blood Grenade. Hang on a second, MDR is still alive. A Fairy Fire return by the Chaos Knight, but he gets the first blood, drawing it onto Hara, and Venomancer kills the Darkseer as well. Incredibly close-fought battle, but in the end, they pass a few tangos across and Chaos Knight comes out victorious.
I think they just went a little bit too early there. They needed their level 2, and I'd say Darkseer is probably one of the better heroes at being able to secure that, right? You're just passively pushing the lane out with your Ion Shell. You're going to be getting more of these last hits. The creep wave is going to be dying a little bit quicker, so nicely done by Cheat to make sure that that didn't happen. You know, little maneuvers like pulling the wave off. Now they've got their level 2, but they've missed their opportunity.
Yeah, they're going to have to come back and pull this lane back.
Oh, they miss on the Gale, though. Panda should be dead.
Yeah, rolled on, Iron Shell's ticking, and Panda down, so they do get some retribution at least with pull across into large camp at the same time, so a bit of recuperation there in this bottom lane. Super needed.
Death. He just needs to hold that Venomous Gale to be able to, you know, make the retreat away, or play along with his CK so that when you use it, you actually get a kill, not just to throw it out for nothing.
I don't know if he was trying to like aggro the creep wave or try and stop the pull, whichever way, it didn't pan out. 3 minutes coming in. Lotus
he's
pool
holding
guarded.
he's holding half of CK's items, and CK still needs to send the courier out for himself to be able to get the rest of them.
Oh, he's all stocked up. Storm Spirit leading a little bit here. A couple of last hits ahead of the DK. Empty bottle, though, means it's a long walk back home.
I was thinking maybe he would have, like, gone for that attempt and died, and then you get the refill on the Storm against the DK, but obviously then CK was like, no, give me my items, and you don't want your carry to get tilted, so ends up going for that one there.
Top lane, Blood Grenade, tossed back as well. Brambles are down with a Centaur stomp on the Silencer. They're the ones to get the kill, while Centaur survives it all. Man, these little skirmishes, very close fought, but so far the Underdogs getting the upper hand in the little trades. Tiny gonna try and get a bit more damage onto the Centaur, but the wave arriving at the Radiant Tier 1 puts them in a very good spot. That's a kill plus a massive wave arriving in on them now. Centaur, I mean, he is behind in last hit, so this is going to let him try and gather up the pieces and come back into it a little bit. As the Tiny, currently sat at 19-7, has been denying his heart out. Oh, kick across there, secure a range creep for Hara. And again, the situation for Spiky Gaming down in bottom lane is they want to try and drag this wave back. You know, it's going to be a kind of ebb and flow situation. They push it forward with Iron Shells, then that gets pushed back by the tower. And then they have that longer lane to chase with the roll and the Iron Shells. As you see, Earth Spirit also very efficiently farming the small camp with this little bit of downtime.
Yeah, I mean, again...
I'd love to see him maybe make a move into mid, though.
Exactly. Oh, Panda, they somehow end up walking past each other. They're more concerned about just the wave, right? They want to be able to get a lot of this early farm. They want to make sure that they're not walking up into a CK Venomancer lane. Like, it is still scary. The fact that they were able to get a double kill is such a huge bonus for them early on. And, well, I'm really just looking at the levels as well on the Storm Spirit, who looks like he wants to try and commit for this, but Hara off the mark with the roll.
Yeah, kicks the Storm with a boulder, but now the Venomancer's rotated in with a Gale. Hara taking a fair few hits there. Is XWY going to chuck the Breathe Fire at them?
Yeah,
feels like both these teams really kind of desperately scrambling for any kind of early advantage. They're like poking, prodding, looking for the little battles early on, TP rotations to try and react.
Certainly not as clean as what we saw in the last game, right? Like, it felt like, especially Team Turtle had a legitimate strategy about every single stage of the game. You know, we're going to make this rotation for this express purpose, whereas that one was like, well, maybe we can get a kill here. Let's see if it works out, you know? Like, it just feels a little less definitive, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Is if we do get a battle around those power runes, it looks like it's going to be Spiky controlling it at this point in time, and well, anytime a Storm Spirit isn't around to be able to secure that, he's not going to be feeling too happy about things. Actually, with the Shield Rune, they might actually be able to go in here.
They'll try. Roll in with a kick with a Dragon Knight, pumping that damage. Fairy Fire, it's not going to be enough. He's silenced up and dead. In they come with the numbers towards that mid lane as the Dark Willow makes an appearance in the top left corner. Does get Shadow Realm and a bit of distance away from the Silencer now into those trees. Try and get away from danger, but the roll connects in from Hara. Allows Outsider now to do the damage in, and Chen is dead.
They're even looking for more. They want to catch the Veno, but I think they're going to be happy enough with the Venomous Gale just going on to XWY. What's even more painful is that you TP'd in on the Storm Spirit, not yet level 6 as well, so he is just going to be falling further and further behind this Dragon Knight, showing why it was in first phase picked in so many games so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in pain. Just before that fight, I had to mute myself because I bumped my knee into my desk.
Oh, no.
In the exact wrong spot, so I am currently rubbing my leg and hoping that the pain goes away pretty soon. But I think the Storm, like you're saying, is even sadder and even more pain than I am right now. As top lane, the Centaur is getting a run at. Outsider made the long wraparound, defending the Tiny, who should be okay to turn and fight into the Dark Willow here. Does walk into the brambles. It looks like Chen gonna step back and get away from them. But a good series of events here from Spiky Gaming, right? It was the underdogs getting the upper hand in some of these early fights, but now they start bringing numbers. They start really bringing the pain into these team fights, and Spiky Gaming set the tempo of the match now.
Mm-hmm. So at least Storm's level 6 now, so you're not just completely isolated away from it, but it's getting to the point where, you know, just even the 1 point in the geomagnetic creep, that 2 seconds of silence feels like an eternity, considering how far behind the DK you are in net worth. And once again, they're just making sure to protect these power runes, as Hara will be a little slow to actually make that roll in.
Oh, but he gets the silence. After the illusion rune, does still have mana though to ball to high ground. But again, Storm is uncomfortable. Nothing's easy here for him. He's going to have to jungle through now with bottle charges that he's got while watching his tower get destroyed by the DK.
And probably should have died as well, right? Like, they knew that they were coming in that general direction. You had the information to be able to set up for that perhaps a little bit more effectively, but instead, Storm at least gets away with his life. It's small miracles, right? Like, it would have been insurmountable, the deficit.
Tiny it looked like they were setting up on him there, bringing like 2-3 heroes to try and kill the Tiny, but Earth Spirit and Silence are able to turn back, and Roshan, no denial available. Dark Willow down. But again, this is like posturing and movement from the Centaur and this Dark Willow. They bring the Venomancer up here to try and help out. They're just a little bit too slow, a little bit disjointed in their efforts. And then this kind of move, right? You move the Veno top, you've lost the Dark Willow, Centaur's now alone. You've kind of left your Chaos Knight stranded down bottom. So he's getting pushed back behind his tower, while Darkseer is lapping up all the farm.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, Chi is still getting a lot of farm for himself as well, and that's the big thing. He's got an armlet finished up. Maybe they do want to protect this tier 1 tower. They know that there's going to be a few moves coming through, but they just so desperately need to get into a few of their ultimates themselves. Centaur just levels up the Stampede now, so they're going to have an escape mechanism if they do choose to commit with all these spells onto him. This is the time to use it. There we go.
Stampede's good, though. The golden hawk above his head allows him to flap away.
They're just desperately trying to get into their own ultimates as well outside of that. He's getting chased down a little bit here, but the return damage is pretty solid as well if he chooses to go for it. Right now, no one opting to TP up top.
I mean, it's a 2000 HP, Raindrop wand Tiny. I just don't see a world in which he's dying there.
No, definitely not.
Echo Saber is about 1,000 gold away as well.
I could see it if the Veno and the Willow altered, right? But neither of them have it at this point because of how these lanes have gone. We'll have a siege creep, though, to be able to play around with, so they want to make the most out of this. They want to be able to secure a tower, they want to get this creep wave. Veno 6, Willow very, very close. I don't know if you want to leave your CK down here solo, though. No Stampede this time.
No, wall was dropped on him. CK dead. And they're trying with the other 4 heroes here, like you said, to kind of press into the tier 1 and hunt the Tiny. But it's been a good move from the Tiny here to get it deeper and deeper into the jungle, slip away from their grasps. And now he's by his tier 2. You can try this, but still no Bedlam means your damage is severely lacking.
Just got map hacks, it feels like, to be able to get away from a lot of these gank attempts, right? Just play right next to that tier 2. Obviously, he's got the 1 point in the grow as well as being able to just stand underneath the tower if they indeed were to try and continue the aggression, and they just sweep across the map with the rest of the boys. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? It's because he's in the Mighty Mines, actually.
The Mighty Mines map movement. He's enabling to do whatever he wants.
Monstrous man. What a magnificent... No, I've run out.
Masterpiece.
That's it. Masterpiece, thank you. Masterful masterpiece. Monumental. Right, Tiny's going to finish off his Echo Saber and had a pretty free time up at top. Dragon Knight sitting about 6.3k net worth is pretty ready here just to continue this aggression, run around with the Darkseer and Earth Spirit, find kill after kill. Next WY going to show his face. Amplified damage denied by Panda's Venomancer. Yeah, this 2k lead for Spiky Gaming feels like it's only going to grow and grow in the next, 8 minutes.
That's right.
Minute 20.
Even just where Storm Spirit was farming just then, like he was completely alone, away from the rest of the team. No real boys to be able to play around with, but he's just so desperate to try and get into any sort of item to himself. I talk about a lot of this dead net worth. He's got a lot of it, right? He's holding on to 1,200 gold right now with no item on the horizon. Might even die here, but maybe it'll go back the other way. God,
kill off the top. Oh my god! I just,
Back?
What are you doing? What are you doing? You kill the outsider silencer, but this Tiny is untouchable in his own jungle.
Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm talking about with like just having more of a set plan for when you're looking to try and make these sorts of moves, right? Like I don't mind them going in onto the Tiny, but Willow needs to be there. Like that's the big thing, right? Like you need to make sure that you're getting that Bedlam off to be able to start the fight, so that even if the Global Silence comes out, you've kind of done your job. Willow's one of those heroes that, kind of similar to the Venomancer, who we saw get off the Noxious Plague, you don't need to do too much to have a huge amount of impact, right? Lay down the Brambles, toss the Bedlam out, you've done it. You've essentially, fulfilled your role in a lot of these team fights, especially in those solo pick-off ones.
Yeah, and the closer that MDR here gets to his Greaves and Pipe, the harder and harder the game gets for the underdogs, because they are and primarily magic damage. Chaos Knight can bring a bit of physical, but it's Darkseer. He's got a lot of auras and a lot of team fight behind him. They're going to try and utilize it now on the Centaur. 4 heroes surrounding him. And get a few whacks out of the Tiny there as he throws the tree at him. And a good couple of moves. Well, down at the bottom, looks like the Dragon Knight is surrounded. XWY. Uncharacteristic there to get completely caught out. And a good move from the Storm and the rest of Underdogs.
You just see the difference there in how easily they're able to actually secure that kill, right? I'm having a look at his death summary at the moment. Willow did 1,000 of that damage as, well, Storm Spirit, he's going to get chased down here. Not the most mana to be able to play around with. And Hara, actually, looking to try and make a kill of his own happen.
Yeah, and got terrorized there to help out a little bit, getting the Storm out of danger.
That's his Orchid as well.
Tiny. And he's being dragged back. They've got the Stampede and the Bedlam, Phantasm, and the crits landing. Tiny, he's going to get brought down here by the Chaos Knight.
Okay. Starting to scale a little bit here, which is nice. You know, you see, they do have the potential for this damage output. It really just does come down to, are they playing together? And up until that point, they hadn't been. You know, as soon as they're able to remedy that, even to a minor extent, the win probability brings themselves closer to 50%. You get, I think, a 2k net worth swing going back in the favor of Underdog. This isn't a bad draft by any stretch of the imagination. They've just been playing it completely wrong up until that point.
They're having some difficulty converting.
So
still trying to show up top.
And he's going to Crimson Guard as well. You know, I'm not sure how strongly I feel about that. You know, it feels to me like Pipe is the way to go for him. Yes, you've got a lot of right-click damage that you're going to be able to avoid, but yeah, I guess as a Centaur it feels really good, right? They did change it to, instead of health, it's based off of your strength, which feels pretty good for a Centaur as well. Or no, they changed it the other way around, right? It's based on your health, not your strength anymore. Got it.
It's funny, we were talking about this the other day, right? Where Vanguard hasn't been an item, and now this is the first Vanguard I've seen in a long time.
But it's for the Crimson, right? That's the thing. Although I guess you did say previously, like, they generally buy it up all at once, but...
Yeah, or they buy the helm first, and bits and bobs. There's the 16-minute Crimson Guard.
All right, let's see how truly effective it is. I mean, he does have 2.4k HP. Let's see how easy they are to be able to take out once he's able to pop it.
But then what's next for him? Like, he skipped the Blade Mail. Does he still go Blink next? Does he go Blade Mail now? What?
I still want Pipe, personally. I don't think he's going to do it, but yeah, Blade Mail does feel like the option, you know, just to be able to make the most out of... Yeah, you could just sell them as well, but could just turn that Chainmail into something better.
But then no Blink Dagger?
Maybe they feel like they don't need it, you know? You've got the CK who's going for a Blink Dagger. You've got a Storm Spirit that you can just toss the Bedlam onto. He's, again, like, that's why I wanted an Aura builder out of this last overall pick for themselves, and they went with the Centaur. Not the worst hero to be able to get at the last phase of the draft by any stretch, but it really does feel like he can contribute even more to this team than he is right now. How quickly this tower is melting as well. They're not responding to it at all.
They try to move forward, but the Centaur taking quite a bit of damage out the Tide in the DK. Rift back, though. Global Silence, not enough to cover and protect him. And now it is time to scramble. They move forward, get the Silencer kill. Chi on this Chaos Knight, a Mega Streak. Takes down a core and a support, easy as you like. Spiky Gaming, you know, just overstaying their welcome, overstepping.
Feeling a little bit overly confident there. Even just being able to drop the Orchid down means that there's no real way to be able to easily escape. Even just tossing out something like the Breathe Fire, perhaps, for some of that damage reduction too. So, yeah, just... I don't know. It was a little bit of an odd move from Spiky Gaming, right? Most of the time when we see people commit to a Tier 2 tower, it's because you've been able to win a convincing team fight in the lead up to it. That time around, it was just everyone was missing off the map. They didn't necessarily have amazing vision around the high ground.
They do jump mid. Dragonite starting things off on his Centaur and trying with his wall on him as well to get the kill. He's a tanky boy and they need a little more firepower and it's not quite coming in time. Centaur slips away, they spend a fair amount, and it looks like Underdogs were thinking about re-entering the fight. We'll hold back on it. But yeah, on that point of the Tier 2, it's also usually... Like, this is against the flow of play, yes, and it's also against the flow of terrain. Usually as dire side, if you're pushing a Tier 2 at this point, it's bottom lane, right? Not top. You're on the wrong side of the map, you're on the wrong side of terrain, multiple angles of ingress there from the Radiant to defend and get in on top of you. As another attempt in this mid lane to try and kill off a Dark Willow. Terrorize looks decent, though, with that Shadow Realm to buy time for Chen to get out of reach. And now the turnaround play. They lose the Willow, but the Earth Spirit's the trade, and this Ball Lightning Storm Spirit onto the Darkseer. MDR dragged back into his death. Dragonite trying to step up and fight back, but now he's surrounded. It is just calamitous for Spiky Gaming these past couple of minutes. They've bled out their lead. Everything is falling apart.
Yeah, very messy, Dota. You've got Tiny at least finishing up the Yasha for himself to be able to more convincingly join a lot of these team fights, wants to have that status resistance to be able to just fight a little bit more regularly. The attack speed feels really good for the Tiny too, but yeah, just fighting in really odd spots, you know, away from the rest of the team, not having the Magnetize or the Global Silence to pair together is actually punishing them quite heavily. I mean, Chi has taken this game and running away with it. You still see, like, all of the net worth is on this CK, though, and he is kind of building glass cannon-ish, you know? Like, doesn't exactly have the most tanky items for himself at this point. The armlet helps for sure, but if they're able to find the initiation onto him, he can certainly die. But he's actually the one going for kills himself.
Well, yeah, he's the big firepower here, isn't he? Darkseer and Earth Spirit try to fight into him, and he just says, no, I don't think so. Venomancer is going to be the casualty up here, so a little bit of something going the way of Spiky Gaming, but yeah, they're spending walls, they're using the lives of the Earth Spirit to try and catch up to people. An outsider currently running from Phantasm Illusions, and with good reason, has to try and bail away from there. But I think for the big point for me is this Tiny. He's not really had the impact that we need from a position mode carry who, you know, you talk about this net worth on CK, 13, 14,000. He's turning that net worth into impact, into kills, into damage. Tiny so far has been, you know, a wet noodle. He's kind of walking around, not doing much. Farming.
Yeah, he's still farming though. Like, that's the big thing, right? And now he's got a little bit more of that that burst damage as well that they need prior to, you know, some of these auras coming out, or potentially a Terrorize stopping them in their tracks. He's opted to go for the extra avalanche damage as opposed to the grow speed attack reduction at level 15. So yeah, it got nerfed a little bit in the B patch, but it still is incredibly strong for him to be able to play around with. So now I think he just wants to be able to finish up the Sange for himself, for the full Sange and Yasha, and then it's going to be go time. Just to touch on a point that you made previously about, you know, why did they push top? Why didn't they push bot? That was around, like, what, 18.5 minutes? And maybe they just wanted to open up another avenue for them to be able to go for, like, this Tormentor Steel, Wisdom Rune Steel play. Yeah. And I feel like they felt like they were more ahead than they actually were, you know, just discounting the impact of Chi on his Chaos Knight.
Right, yeah, I think that's something that can't be understated, right? Where the underdogs here are literally the underdogs, and Spiky Gaming probably thinking like they are the, you know, just going into the series, they're already the deserving victors, but meeting some severe resistance.
Look, the Twin Gate, they're coming through the Twin Gate. They're not set up for it, though. They might see him as soon as they come down here, though. They've got a decent amount of vision set up, but it's, yeah, under the smoke.
Oh, through the trees. Stampede into Blink. There we go. Centaur with that initiation power gets on top of the Darkseer, who looks like he's trapped in the tree line. Vacuums back a couple, tries to surge and a roll back in.
They're committing,
though. A meal out of this with the Magnetize and the mech. He drops the Darkseer. He drops the wall. In comes Tiny with the Dragonite now as well. This is important for Tiny to really connect, but a Terrorize pushes them back, sends them packing.
What a
the
toss!
Centaur still alive. Healed up the toss forward, not enough to finish him off. Earth Spirit, he's going to roll deeper. Curse Crown's down on him, and a Centaur, another move back in with the Chaos Knight to blow up the Earth Spirit. A Storm Spirit joins the fray. 2 for 1, maybe more. Storm wants maybe a little bit more on this Tiny, but yeah, can't go any deeper.
A little bit low on the mana to be able to do it, as well as, you know, Tiny, of course, just being able to stand underneath his tower as well. It's just so tanky. And they're going to be needing more of that percentage damage to be able to take care of him. Maybe just thinking that, you know what, with the Noxious Plague worn off, we don't have the potential for it. But now they are starting to actually build up into a few of those aura items that I was really wanting, right? You've already got the Crimson Guard on the Centaur, and now he's going into the Heart of Tarask as well, so obviously going to provide him a huge amount of benefit from all of that bonus HP that he's going to have, make the Crimson Guard even stronger, and Veno's nearly got a Guardian Greaves. So now you're going to be able to shrug off at least the first little bit of the Global Silence. Yeah, it'll still have the reverberating effect for, what level is it at the moment? So just 1.5 seconds once you do pop the Guardian Greaves, but it means that you're probably going to be able to get off that Noxious Plague. Level 2, by the way, as well.
Oh god, Dark Willow, are you dead when you land?
No.
No, we're fine.
One other thing as well that I just noticed is that most of the time we see the CK, they go the Phantasmagoria facet. Or whenever CK spawns an illusion, he has a, what is it, 50% chance to make an extra one or something like that? Or no, they're all strong illusions, that's right. Basically, Darkseer can be seen as kind of a counter to the CK in a way, because you're always spawning CK illusions with your normal punch, with a wall of replica. So it's the sort of thing where you don't want to make those strong illusions because you want them to be a little bit more killable, essentially. So that's why I think this is the first time that we've seen him go for the irrationality facet instead.
I mean, having a break or a disarm is pretty good against the Tiny as well.
Yep.
It's not too shabby.
I did see that a few times in the lane, and I was like, well, hold on a minute, where's this break coming from? But yeah,
coming out of nowhere.
Pretty good. And it's all luck, right? This is the CK, you got to roll the dice for it.
Jump bottom. Dragon Knight and Earth Spirit right on top of the Centaur.
He's coming in, though.
And the Stampede Terrorize again, just the combos to bail people out. A bit of damage over time, still taking over on a Centaur, and a tree toss forward will secure the kill. A bit of a toss forward from the Tiny, not paying off as the BKBs are out now. CK and Storm, shiny and golden, playing through the wall, but the deep roll into the backlines finds Panda's Venomancer. Storm's trying to punch back onto the Earth Spirit. Maybe even with the Bedlam on him, he's going to run away, because that's a 2,000 HP Hara Earth Spirit here, who just rolls back in even deeper.
The damage
across the bow of the Willow, but CK punches back again. The trouble is he's left alone, stranded, isolated here.
Oh, he tossed him to a friend.
Onto the Centaur, back to an ally. I don't know if that's what you intended, because that's allowed the Chaos Knight to survive now.
It's still a really messy fight, though, for Underdog, right? Like, yeah, sure, you do clean up a couple of kills, but you get 2 buybacks out of them, and all of the ultimate usage was just so disconnected, right? Like, you use the Stampede to be able to get away. Did like the area denial that they had in the lane, but the Noxious Plague did effectively nothing. He just used it onto the Tiny, who was able to reset off to the side, and then rejoin the fight afterwards, so... really not getting the impact that you need out of that Veno ultimate. It needs to be like mid-CC chain to hopefully proc onto the rest of these heroes. Willow's... I remember Willow bought back as well. Have to be very careful here. Really get a nice D-ward for free. And now Roshan's up top, so this is going to... Spiky Gaming just that little bit of an additional advantage, but they're looking to try and set up both with lane vision as well as, I'm sure, trying to take control of that high ground.
Yeah, I mean, it still just feels like this game, the longer it goes, the harder it gets for Underdogs, right? We've got the Darkseer pretty much ready now. He's got his kit. The Tiny is becoming absolutely monstrous. I've been wondering about this Sanjin Yasha, because usually from Tinys that I've seen, you know, in the Eastern European qualifiers for Riyadh.
Hold on.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, 3-man stop!
3-man. The zip in onto the Silencer, but he's healed up by the Greaves, the heals, the Silencer still dies, and Storm zips in deeper. Bedlam and BKB expended now, with the Dragon Knight skirting around the edges of the fight. Rifted in, has the BKB himself. The wall's a good one. Trapped in onto the Centaur, this reinitiation back in. They're forced to bail away. Centaur dead for 70. Nice move there. I think he dodges the Dragon Tail stun with the illusions popped out of the CK there. Another roll from the Earth Spirit is going to catch up to the Willow here. So the Straggler is dead, and now Roshan belongs to Spiky Gaming.
Yeah, completely for free. This is 2 diebacks that they're able to claim. Who knows, maybe they'll just shove out an additional creep wave as well, considering they've got all the time in the world to make these sorts of plays. But you just see how hard it is, right? They put the right targets on the front line to be able to, you know, get that safety net coming through from the Darkseer. They've already got the Mage Slayer for the debuff coming through, 40% less spell damage. Then you add on top of that the Breathe Fire, minus 30%. Then you add on top of that all the armor that you've got to play with. Then you've got the Pipe, then you've got the Greaves, then you've got Tiny, who's just tanky as hell. Like, it is so hard for them to be able to kill anything, which is why we're really only seeing Hara and Outside die in a lot of these fights.
It sounded like you were building the perfect ice cream sundae there for a second. You know, just a layer of ice cream, some hot fudge, bit of whipped cream, some marshmallows, some chocolate chips.
I love it so much.
There's always Danog with the like monthly picture on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. It's just, you know, just out in Melbourne getting some cream, wherever you live in Australia. One of those funny cities out there.
It's a beautiful city. I love my
city. I got it right? Was Melbourne? Yeah?
I am in Melbourne, yes.
Okay. I guessed correctly. Or I remembered correctly.
Very good, very good. Well, they're just giving up a tower for free here.
No, we're on ice cream topic. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? What's your go-to?
I like chocolate, but I don't like just chocolate, you know? So it's got to have a mix of something in there, like some sort of nuts and vanilla. Like, I like stracciatella, I like, you know, hazelnut, pistachio, all that sort of stuff's real good.
So
or if it's a really nice day. No, I do love a sorbet as well, but you just got to be in the right mood for it, you know? Typically, when I've been enjoying a few beverages, a sorbet is generally a little bit nicer on the stomach compared to all of that lactose.
What's your thoughts on mint chocolate chip?
Hate it. I don't like mint in chocolate in general. I just like it's. Why are you wanting some? I'm gonna sound like the whitest person ever, but like, why do you want this spicy chocolate?
See, that's one of those weird things where I dislike mint, and so I dislike several herbs in general. I don't like dill, I don't like parsley, I don't like mint, just in general. But mint is fine in toothpaste and in ice cream or chocolate. I hate it in drinks. I hate it everywhere else. I hate it when I'm like eating.
Where are you getting like a minty drink from?
Oh, you've never had a minty drink, like fresh mint. You know, they put it into a cocktail.
Like a mojito?
Like a mojito. Yeah, I do not like mojitos because I dislike mint that much. Yeah. But mint chocolate chip ice cream is just freaking amazing. Okay, Dark Willow disappears.
Down inside the Shadow Realm.
Just whacked down with a couple of hits out of this Tiny as they press forward. The global silence. Really the Storm has to BKB. They're going to zip back into base as the Phantasm will hold back the Tiny, at least for now.
I'd love to, if there was any sort of way for us to see just the damage that Venno did in that fight. Maybe it wasn't much, actually, because they had the pike popped, but Noxious Plague spread twice to everyone. Like, that was a lot of damage potential, but they're just able to shrug it off completely.
Alright, a full set of barracks, 30 minutes in, just come in, they're holding Aegis, converting their advantage very nicely.
What about just, like, I know you don't like mint in things, what about just, like, you know, a mint, you know, like a peppermint, for example, or
yeah, that's fine because it has a purpose.
Yeah.
So that's in the same category for me as toothpaste. That's like a make your breath minty and fresh, you know. I don't think of chewing gum and mints as sweets or candy or lollies or whatever. You know, they are I don't know, they're a medical thing in my head.
And they're going on the Tiny.
Trying to catch this Tiny out is just not happening, but maybe with this backstab from the CK, they found the darts here. That's a bigger target. Beautifully done. Right into the back lines and following through onto the Earth Spirit. Tiny got a bit distracted, it looks like. Now he's trying to stand his ground and fight back as they buy back onto MDR's dogs here. Wanting to keep this fight going. Dark Willow found by the Dragonite. Storm is zipping around cutting waves and balling away. A wild fight.
Maybe they feel like they used everything to be able to get out of that, but I mean, Venno's still alive. You're able to set up a few of these Plague Wards on the high ground. I guess Tiny doesn't really care too much about that. And maybe without the Phantasm available, he feels just very safe to not get blown up by the CK, but certainly MDR needs to be a little bit more cautious with his positioning not to get caught out once again. They just try and shove out this creep wave, but hold on. Are they going to be able to punish this Storm Spirit?
Ooh.
Silence. He's popped BKB, and he doesn't have a TP here. They should know this.
He's got no mana, no TP. Trying to bottle up, but look at Hara coming in from the northeastern side. Rolling across, not quite connecting just yet, but he'll have another roll here to get right on top of the Storm Spirit. And Darkseer had followed him all the way from that mid lane.
A little isolated.
Is he alright? He's turning and fighting.
She's the one in trouble.
Into the CK. He's the one that's taking a beating with a massive crit landing. Dragon Knight, he can't quite follow through fully onto the Centaur, who has made a break for the high ground. But, with XWI are straight back up towards the barracks, it looks like. One hit takes out the creep wave. Barracks are open and exposed, and of course Storm Spirit did die out on the map, and he's gone for 45 seconds. So a second lane of barracks here for Spiky Gaming as they really just massively convert off of one team fight, one Roshan, one Aegis, 2 lanes of barracks, maybe even 3 if they go top.
Probably 3. I mean, what do you have to be able to make plays around? You don't have the Phantasm, you don't have Noxious Plague, you don't have a Storm Spirit. All you've got really is a Centaur that's just going to throw himself out there and still potentially die. Look at the defensive positioning from MDR as well, just sitting way on the back lines. He's got the Blink Dagger to be able to come in if he needs to.
Let's start on the Tiny again. I mean, the CK has gone into backlines and found a silencer with a good terrorize there that clipped onto the Earth Spirit as well. She gets the kill, Outside is
he
dead.
TPing
Panda.
away?
Panda's being chased and killed. Tree Toss is there to finish him off, while the Dark Willow is completely stuck here against the Dark Seer and the Earth Spirit, and GG called. They tap out. Didn't really have a chance to punch back. Underdogs lose out in game one. I know the first 15 minutes, though, felt pretty good for them, and it all just crumbled.
I'm a little surprised at even the win probability.
A little bit with an Arc Warden pick, this Vengeful Spirit going into a core role as well, potentially, as we will get ourselves into game two and see exactly what we're dealing with here, as we'll have both teams smoke up and move out across the map to get their early vision down. Dragon Knight, smoke breaks, doesn't place the ward because he knew he was spotted, and Outsider in a good position there to see it coming. But man, this is going to be a cool one.
Also, just having a think of having a look at all the facets, right? Meepo's gone for the pack rat, so not more Meepos. So I'm interested to see what item he's going to choose to put in the neutral item slot. Like, is it a diffusal blade, for example, just to have mass diffusal coming through? Is it going to be eventually like, I don't know, a basher or something along those lines? Is he just going to use the neutral item itself? Because Vambrace, Pupil's Gift, they all both feel pretty good when you've got a Meepo just to be able to tank up the other boys.
What is the best item to put in that slot?
Rattle Cage. I think it just needs to be something that doesn't have a cooldown associated with it, because it's all shared cooldowns, right? You can't use like a scythe into a scythe into a scythe. That would just be way too busted. But Rattle Cage, let's say, you get a big amount of AoE damage in these team fights. Every single one of those Meepos.
This Arc Warden is dead.
Yeah,
Caught up. The brambles, the stun. The Razor comes in. Now Panda's going to get harassed out of this lane as well. And already XWY drops the tip onto Chi. Oh.
I did say they needed to focus him down, right? He's the one that's going to be able to keep them in this game. He's gone for the Disorder, by the way, as opposed to the Order. So that's generally what you want to do when you're playing as more of this position 1 role, all right? Just to be able to get that bonus attack range from like 1 point in the magnetic field. It also gives you a lot faster activation time for the Spark Wraith, so much more capable of securing things like the range creeps in the laning phase.
Razor, no last hits yet. There's one under his tower, but Dragon Knight off to a good start. Yeah, as we've seen time and time again, Dragon Knight just doesn't lose lanes, and very often now he outright wins the lanes. As Meepo has dropped down to about half HP here, just dragging that wave a little closer to his tower. Not wanting to lane fully into double-ranged lane here, especially when Wyvern is your support. And this bottom lane feels quite passive and dull from the Radiant side, right? Just getting levels up on your two heroes.
Yeah, sorry, Meepo is in a tiny bit of trouble as well, but yeah, Panda is the one...
Nearly dying top. Barely pops the regen to stay alive.
Mm-hmm. This is the power, again, of like just being able to confidently run at people, right? Like the Willow just enables that so heavily that MDR should be able to, focus in even onto these relatively survivable supports like the Enchantress. Oh, I was about to say slightly off the mark with the Brambles, but Panda ends up walking into it anyway.
There's so many Brambles, he's just guaranteed to walk into one at this point.
Yeah. That's why the Demonic Purge is going to be so great if Chen's able to get into it.
12 and 3 DK, doubling up on the Razor right now. Not an easy one for XWY. It's not a hard lane, for sure. You're going to get farm, you're not going to get harassed too much, but it's not an easy free lane as we used to see in the past. Again, one of these situations where, if you're coming back to Dota now after a 5 or 6 year break, you're like, yeah, Timber against DK, Razor against DK. DK just gets destroyed, right? Yeah, that's not how things work anymore, I'm afraid, my friend. Things have changed.
Not so sure about that one, Chief.
Meepo.
So just keeping my eye on XWY. He's going for a bit of a static link here in this mid lane onto the DK, so he's going to get a lot of the damage stolen, but early on, the link duration, I suppose it still lasts for 10 seconds after it's done, but he was really just worried about being able to survive, and with those two braces, with the Tango, he's going to be A-okay. If he tries to get aggressive, you just breathe fire, and then, of course, that has that 30% damage reduction coming through. I'm surprised, honestly, that he was able to last this long. Look at that damage! It's so stupid that you're able to just turn around and do that much to it, Gary.
Oh, man. That's the thing is, it's even funny because the Razor drains all the damage. He's got 100 bonus damage. He misses uphill like twice on the DK. The DK turns and then does what, like 600 damage in 3 hits.
And he's just regenning up like a beast the entire time.
Monstrous hero.
4 health regen, 4 armor. He's got an additional, what, 1.5 from his braces.
This is why Dragonite don't lose.
Strength. Nope.
Careful there, Razor, buddy. Yeah, and he's still getting a bit of farm and, you know, experience, of course, on the Razor, but he's going to have to shift out of the lane to find any serious impact. And in these other lanes, looks like the Arc Warden is definitely struggling. Slardar is 18 and 6, along with that Willow, putting a lot of pressure on the double kind of squishy ranged lane up in his top spot. And looking very good for MDR and Hara as this duo off lane.
So I haven't seen a single use out of the Arc Warden ever since the changes in 7.36. So basically the big one to me was it's taking a lot more damage as opposed to not doing as much damage. That was one of the reasons why it wasn't that great previously. They gave that badness over to Terrorblade. But the other thing was it now lasts 60 seconds, the Tempest double that you've got to be able to make plays with. But it immediately like goes on maximum cooldown as soon as it dies. So you're basically forced to respond to the Tempest double this game. But if you do that, then Arc Warden feels really ineffective, right? So I feel like they're just going to be playing a lot of these games where they're going to be chasing around this Arc Warden as much as possible.
Yeah, just keep tabs on him, but I guess you can do that quite nicely with Slardar Willow. The Meepo, of course, one of his greatest strengths is that map control. Playing from fog. Suddenly appearing out of nowhere. And Hara, a bit of wave dragging there to escape from the danger he was under. Just clear it out, leaves the Slardar alone up top for a little bit against the Hellbear Smasher. A little bit of gold there for MDR as he kills it off. Yeah, so far, pretty decent laning stage across the board. Everyone's kind of picking up the pieces now. You know, Arc Warden's starting to recover and bring his last hit values back in line with the rest of the pack. And a bottle refill mid there for XWY. Allow him to stay in the lane and keep playing this one. Yeah, it's not like a hard lane for the Razor, right? It's annoying, but it's the fact that you're not winning the lane that hurts the most.
And like, why does DK's armor and regen values need to be amplified if he just pops Elder Dragon form as well? Like, that's the crazy thing to me. You just get 1.5 times the amount. So you've even got more of a defensive tool for yourself. He actually walks into a Bramble.
Does he care?
He doesn't get a second one. No, I don't think so.
Any cares, Dragon Knight? No? 3v1 and Dragon Knight's like, nice guys. Now we've got Shadow Demon and Enchantress rotating in. Mud Golem looks like it was taken down there as Enchantress does grab a Centaur instead. A Blood Grenade thrown onto XWY and he just nearly dies there to the damage coming in thick and fast.
They will get
as
Willow.
Dragon Knight turns back onto Hara's Dark Willow, body blocked up by Panda as Chen stuck in the trees here as the trade out in the 1-for-1. 6 heroes mid, 2 supports die.
Yep. And, I mean, sadly, for Spiky, they weren't the ones to be able to secure that Wisdom Rune for... Sorry, not the Wisdom Rune, the Illusion Rune for themselves. So, just meant that we've now got an early Manta style, I guess you could kind of call it, with this Illusion Rune. Just dealing a little bit of that extra damage. You do have... This is the thing, right? Wyvern, not bad at dealing with the DK. You can stay at range, you can nullify his effectiveness. You have that, of course, percent damage that's going to scale into the later stages of this game. I'm just a little bit worried if... Are we going to see a bit more of, like, the Manta-style build from the DK again, if they are able to get on the front foot here on Underdog? Because you've got an Arc Warden to be able to play around with. He could just put him inside the magnetic field as, hold on, MDR, he's actually chasing Chi up top here. This is what I want. I want them to keep the pressure.
This is where the game gets really messy, because Meepo, he's coming to the top lane with a rotation through the Twin Gate after stealing the Wisdom Rune. So double Wisdom Runes for Spiky Gaming, a kill on the carry. We're talking a lot about this DK, and yes, there's a lot of emphasis on this mid lane from the Dire side to try and push damage onto the Razor, but it looks like his TP not successful. Gets them a kill there for the Dragon in the mid lane.
And I'm sure he's saying, let's see how you like it. You know, you did that to me last game. This time around, at least I've got my boys being able to help me out. It's clearly one of the things that Underdog addressed in their post-match discussions, just saying like, hey, we were far too disconnected away from each other. we can't have that happen again because we're going to get punished, especially against this sort of lineup.
I mean, this is the thing, right? We talked about Meepo and the map control. He's lurking around in the shadows. Dragonite is here to try and help out. Turns with the Dragon Tail stun. MDR taking the brunt of the damage here from the DK and the Enchantress. They'll turn back onto him, though, and it's Meepo. Tremendous damage. Meepo, map control, and Enchantress, a tasty morsel potentially here as Panda. Looks like the distance there close to the tier 2 enough to slip away, but Chen's Shadow Demon not going to be as lucky. Disrupts up one of the Meepos, and then the next one comes out to kill him off. 6-2, Meepo is now unleashed on the map, and he's picking them off, killing off stacks as well, it looks like, as that large camp has been built up for him.
Bit of a freebie for himself, and I do just want to have a neutral item watch. Iron Branch in the neutral slot at the moment for Every little bit of stats helps. He is going to go into the Diffusal Blade. I mean, it's nothing different for a Meepo, but just to be able to give that to every single one of your Meepos is just such a devastating amount of damage.
That's incredible. Yeah, just to reiterate again, right, the Wisdom Runes. We're looking at this Enchantress and Shadow Demon, and, you know, thankfully for Underdog, these aren't two heroes who are, you know, desperately requiring their ultimates. You've talked about how Shadow Demon ultimate is good, but it's not like, you know, a massive teamfight ultimate that's going to win. One of these early game skirmishes is super hard. They do put a bit of pressure on the Razor, and it looks like they're back up under their tier 1 with the movement out of the Wyvern and the Willow. Try and protect this tier 1 damage as 4 members of Underdog here with a swap onto Hara, trying to really press into this objective. Dragonite with the damage over time, the glyph forced out, but the tower is inevitably going to die. So Spiky Gaming just looking to try and pick up the pieces on the side lanes here. Gather farm for your Slardar and Meepo, as this 5-man group up, I guess a 4-man group up from Underdog, looks pretty damn strong. Hell, you call it 5-man because the clone, the Tempest Double, comes in from the Arc Warden from across the map, and you're able to play pretty wide.
Yeah, they're just able to keep the lanes constantly pushed in there, and of course, I mean, I'm a little surprised that they didn't put a bit more emphasis onto trying to kill the Tempest Double when they just kind of left it AFK after that push happened. You know, again, it'll just make the Tempest Double go on its maximum cooldown again if you do end up doing that, and it's quite a long time, especially in those early-ish levels. So, with all that extra damage that it's able to take, a little bit of a missed opportunity there. Diffusal Blade is up though. Hasn't got it in the neutral item slot yet. Might be about to switch it in though.
He is so incredibly scary on this Meepo. Top lane Panda's going to get onto Outsider. Still level 5 on the Winter Wyvern, and Slardar straight into the back line where Arc Warden was lurking, and he's just going to solo down Chi here. They've got a disruption, but it comes too late onto the Slardar as the Arc Warden dies. Now a Winter's Curse. Winter Wyvern stayed alive, cracked level 6. Turns around with the Bedlam and a bit of damage out from the Willow. As on the right-hand side, the Shadow Demon slain by the Razor and Slardar, while Panda is left stranded. XWI comes out with a double kill, enabled by these two supports, and I think most importantly, MDR Slardar here having a tremendous game so far.
We've seen him do it once before, flawless at the moment in 7 of the 9 kills that they've been involved in, and I mean, that was a time where, well, okay, he's just going to be farming mid, or they were making another rotation happen. They actually did focus in onto the Tempest Double. I think you need to get a lot better on Chi at microing it away, because they were just feeding it to the wolves. It was 180 additional gold that Razor has been able to pick up, so even though the lane didn't go well enough for him, as long as he's just able to continuously go at this Tempest, it's going to leave Chi with far fewer options at being able to maximize, for example, his Midas efficiency even, coming from the Tempest Double. You can't keep as many lanes, like, ratted out quite as effectively. Still only level 7 on this arc. Not what you want, and they're not going to stop with the pressure, going straight on into the Shadow Team and a really early Blink Dagger.
Yeah, this is a catch and kill kind of draft now from Spiky Gaming. They see a hero on the map, they'll catch, they'll kill, they'll move on to an objective as they ping out the Arc Warden top, but down at bottom in the meantime, the Meepo is being run at by Avenge and Enchantress, but good proof off to the left side, and Razor's rotation onto the Venge. Oh, it's going to net them a kill here. The position 3 Vengeful Spirit getting drained, sapped, and killed, while up at top is that the Arc Warden being surrounded by MDR. Bedlam on that Slardar, incredible damage output, nothing that DK could do there to save him. Chi not having a good game so far on this Arc Warden, really struggling. Bottom of the net worth of the cores, and I don't see it improving anytime soon. Like, you've bought Hand of Midas, you want to scale, but it's one of these heroes, and it feels like one of these games where the underdogs need time. They need 15, 20, 25 more minutes, and I just don't think they've got it. They're not going to be given it.
That's not what a Meepo draft gives you. I'm a little surprised, honestly, that the lane didn't go better, just because, you're a Slardar, you're going up against an Arc Warden, you've got an Enchantress, one of the better laners as well, in terms of just being able to dominate it, but it feels like ever since that rotation came through from the Meepo through the Twin Gate to be able to wipe him out, it's just, he's had nowhere to be able to play. That was your safety net, just being able to play around that tower, but not anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how I guess it's the story of the game where we were talking. Big ups to this Dragon Knight saying, yeah, he's doing great, having a great time, looking good, he's scaling, he's still top of the net worth of his team. But I think the fact that we haven't talked about the Vengeful Spirit, the impact she's going to have, we haven't talked about the Arc Warden, the impact he's going to have, because they are just being run at and killed over and over again. What is the Venge bringing you? Is this Aghanim Scepter going to turn the tides, do you reckon?
Well, that's what I was talking about in the draft, right? When I say, when you're playing Venge as a core, I think it's a little bit less so if you're playing it as a position 1, right? You're going into the Echo Saber, you're wanting to increase your own farm quite heavily. If you're going this Ags, your team needs to make space for you before you can really be selfless and look to help out the rest of the boys. And, I mean, deaths like this, potentially, aren't going to do yourself any favors.
No, he tries with a swap, but dead nonetheless. And they've brought heroes down here to try and defend them. That Winter's Curse is just spot on perfect. MDR's going to step up with a potential crush on the 2 or 3. The fear and the damage comes in on the DK. The Bedlam's going, and down they fall. The Cold Embrace keeps Slardar alive. This looked like it was just a Venge kill. It's like, okay, Venge is dying. That delays the Aghanim Scepter.
Oh,
sad
no, she's dead.
That is not just a Venge kill. That's a Venge kill into Shadow Demon, into Eng, into DK, into Chain Feed. Arc Warden feeds away, dies, and a triple kill for Outsiders Winter Wyvern. Man, Danog, this is... it's getting close to over. It is elimination time, so of course you don't want to tap out, but 17-2, 10k lead. Was Meepo even involved in that bot lane fight?
No, he wasn't. He was picking up another Wisdom Rune for himself and farming up his Aghanim Scepter, where now he's ready to be able to join the rest of the boys.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a big problem. Level 13 Meepo.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely monstrous. Winter Wyvern has that thing with Wisdom Runes, right?
Yes, where everyone gets a little bit of the knowledge coming through. So, I mean, you're going to extend the lead even further.
Yes, you've stolen one, you've taken 3 other ones. You're looking pretty damn good for yourself as they just dive into mid, the self-disruption. I mean, seconds of time here for Chen to stay alive. Slardar now with an Eternal Shroud means that he has complete freedom to dive wherever he wants to. And yeah, Meepo right up to this top lane, just cutting a map in half.
A 15-minute blink dagger, 16 for the Winter Wyvern. It just feels so good, right? Like, you've got 3 heroes on your team that want to go in first. Like, Meepo, maybe he just wants to wait for the blink dagger for himself, but MDR has been doing a fantastic job of just leading the charge almost every single time. He's going to be the first one into the Roche pit as well, realizing that, hey, we can close this game out right now.
Get me in Aegis. Let's unlock this Meepo even further. Things going.
So, what I was saying before is, like, in order for you to fight and get the most out of the Aghanim Scepter, you just need to be given complete space to farm it. It's kind of like... maybe it's not the perfect analogy, but like why I don't like Earthshaker as a support, because you need so much space to really enable that hero to be impactful, right? It's kind of a similar sort of thing with Avenge 3, where at least you've now got the potential to be, a little bit more active, a little bit more of that damage deal while still having the save. She's about to die again, by the way. But if you're just going this standard build with what it was previously before 7.36, you still just are a non-factor in the early stages of the game. You're single target, you don't farm that fast, you don't contribute a ton to a lot of these team fights, and until you've got your Ags, you're basically useless.
Yeah, I'd even argue it's like worse than that Earthshaker in that situation, because it's like the difference between... Earthshaker buying Blink, or, we've talked about that Brewmaster buying Radiance, where you're kind of dead weight until you get to that key item. But when you get that key item, you can win a team fight or you can make waves, right? You make a big change in the dynamic of the game. I just don't feel... I feel like Venge Aghanim Scepter is more like a quality of life upgrade rather than a team fight victory item,
Oh, she's about to die up top here.
Oh, yeah? Again? Meepo.
Maybe just
He
his
sees the
Tempest
clone.
Double. Yeah.
Tempest Double is going to drop here. They're bringing numbers. They're trying to defeat the Meepo up in his top lane, but he's quite tanky, resilient, and holding Aegis.
Yeah.
They'll need numbers. They'll need a lot of numbers, and he's got the Mega Meepo as well for
And a Blink Dagger now.
Yeah, good luck, buddies. Man, look at this. Storming across the map. Razor's trying to catch a glimpse of someone here with Slardar in tow. The Vengeful Spirit in the trees. They pinged him out, and the Blink Crush comes. XWI with the Static Blink. And Winter Wyvern nearly finding the TPing Arc Warden, but not quite there in time as they kill the Venge and look to transfer this into, you know, tier 2 towers across the board. I mean, Meepo just diving into the base at this point.
Why not?
A single fear. Straight in behind tier 3s, crushing the Shadow Demon down. Meepo will lose his first life now, but the Razor's going to bodyguard him here. Chi and Panda trying to hold the line as Meepo will get back away from the tier 3 and survive quite easily.
I think they're just having a good time right now. You know, the chat wheel's not exactly something that is synonymous with the Chinese region, but certainly, you know, they just feel like they've got the complete freedom to be able to move wherever they want on the map, do whatever the hell they like, and he's even nearly got the, well, he does have the dig shard coming out to him as well, so where's the reason to go back? You've got heals from the Wyvern, you've got heals for yourself, you've got a Razor who's closing in on his own BKB as well on top of everything else, and yeah, you can see they're not in a mood to be able to stop this ball rolling. They're just going to go in for more.
How many hits to get to the center of an Enchantress? 3 or 4 there from the Slardar with a Bedlam, and look at him. MDR, he nearly sniffs that one out. Chi going to try and hold his ground there, but I don't know, the bright contrasted colors of the Radiant team, the yellow, the purple, the orange, swarming across that enemy ancient spot, and Meepo straight in with a ensnare on the root of the 3 of them there, catching them all up. Swap comes out, the Meepo, he is dropping lower, but he's got the damage with the Mega Meepo up. He's going to charge up to high ground, 3 heroes dead, a buyback from Shadow Demon, Dragon Eyes falling, and this might be it. GG call, they tap out, and they are eliminated from the Chinese regionals as Spiky Gaming, they move on forward, marching down this lower bracket.
The power of second.